Imagine this. Your cell phone rings, you answer the call, and on the other end of the phone is a frantic voice trying to talk to you between sobs of anguish. They relay the tragic news that a relative or a close friend just died in a horrific traffic accident. More details about the traffic accident are released, and it turns out the driver that caused the accident was an illegal immigrant, someone that should have never been driving a vehicle on a United States highway to begin with. A check of traffic accident statistics from the Department of Transportation reveals that over the past 10 years, the number of traffic accident-related deaths have been in the range of between 39,000 and 43,000 each and every year, with the average number being right at 41,000 deaths per year. We recently made a video about the horrific traffic accident in Florida. In that case, an illegal immigrant from India with a fraudulent CDL named Harjinder Singh made an illegal U-turn on the Florida Turnpike that resulted in the deaths of 3 Americans when the car they were traveling in went under the belly of Singh's trailer. I will put a link to that video at the end of this one for you. Now imagine being a relative or a friend of one of the 3 innocent people killed by Singh in that Florida crash, finding out that Singh was an illegal immigrant, and then, to pour salt on the already festering wound, you find out that more than 2.5 million people have signed a Change.org petition calling for clemency for the illegal immigrant driver that killed your family member or friend. The petition, created by a group calling themselves the Collective Punjabi Youth, which, as it turns out, is a collection of global associations, has specifically asked Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to reduce Singh's potential sentence if convicted. In response to the petition, DeSantis' Deputy Press Secretary Molly Best responded, "No deal. In Florida, criminal actions have consequences. I don't know about you, my friend, but it's hard for me to fathom how that many people can be so easily manipulated to defend an illegal immigrant that just killed 3 people. Really makes you wonder just how many of those nearly 41,000 people killed on average every year on American highways are dead due to the other driver being an illegal immigrant or illegally licensed to drive, doesn't it?"
You got that right, Jim. Piggybacking on the points you brought up, I have been reading up on the latest news on the various CDL fraud investigations going on in 5 states right now. It's mind-boggling to me that state workers at the DMV, third-party examiners, and CDL training schools would all be conspiring to put illegal truck drivers on our nation's highways. They surely have blood on their collective hands, and I hope they fry. In this video, we'll explain exactly how each CDL fraud scam worked, who was involved, what they charged, and what DOT and FMCSA are doing about it now.
Down in New Orleans, the Department of Justice says 6 people were indicted for a scheme that, for a fee, would let wannabe truck drivers skip every step on the path to getting a CDL. The applicant would get to skip the written test, skip the required driver training, and got a pass on the skills and road test. Mahmoud Al-Hattab, who is a local restaurant owner, was the ringleader. In exchange for payments from CDL applicants, Al-Hattab would bribe associates at the DMV, third-party examiners, and CDL training schools and attain the fraudulent CDL. Janae Davis and Shakira Million were clerks working at the DMV office in Donaldsonville, Louisiana, which is about 1 hour west of New Orleans. They are accused of completing knowledge tests for applicants in exchange for bribery payments from Al-Hattab. The indictment alleges they performed internet searches to find the correct answers and complete the knowledge tests. To defeat the driver training requirement, Al-Hattab bribed 2 men who operated CDL truck driver schools named Christopher Brian Burns and Jonathan Parsons. These 2 are accused of reporting in a federal database that the applicants successfully completed CDL training when, in truth, the applicants did not train at all. The 6th person in this fraud scheme is Marlene Roberts, who is another skills test examiner, who is accused of creating phony score sheets to corroborate the false test reports.
FreightWaves reported the ringleader named Mahmoud Al-Hattab would charge an applicant about $6,500 for the full package. Meanwhile, Al-Hattab would bribe each of his accomplices $400 for their part in the fraudulent scheme.
The FBI and the DOT are involved in this investigation. Each of the 6 collaborators are charged with bribery concerning programs receiving federal funds, conspiracy, and wire fraud. The state of Louisiana is currently reviewing all CDL licenses handled by the individuals tied to the fraudulent CDL ring and can revoke and retest the drivers flagged.
In Bay County, Florida, local TV WJHG and Landline report 8 people have been arrested after a joint investigation by the Bay County Sheriff's Office and Homeland Security. In this case, illegal immigrants were allegedly paying to get fraudulent driver's licenses. Investigators say suspicious driver's license transactions were occurring at the Bay County Tax Collector's Office, and 2 DMV employees were being financially compensated to provide driver's licenses to those who did not qualify for them. Analysis of financial records confirms that the employees were receiving large sums of currency from numerous sources, Sheriff Ford said. These weren't minor shortcuts. These were intentional acts of corruption where individuals paid bribes in exchange for skipping critical safety evaluations, said Sheriff Ford. The 2 employees arrested, Banceli Velasco and Demetrius Smith, are both from Panama City. Velasco has been charged with 9 counts of DMV employee issue of unlawful driver license and 9 counts of official misconduct. Smith has been charged with 8 counts of DMV employee issue of unlawful driver license and 8 counts of official misconduct. Authorities seized $120,000 from the homes of the 2 arrested.
Investigators say Velasco and Smith were using third parties to act as intermediaries, including individuals and organizations. One of those was Cuba Max, which is a company that processes immigration documents. According to investigators, Cuba Max was acting as a referral source for those illegal immigrants trying to get driver's licenses fraudulently. Those arrested as intermediaries include the following individuals from Panama City: Nirbis Rosales, who owned and operated Cuba Max; Leonardo Gutierrez, Hung Du, Isbrieta Parra, Zoila Gonzalez Pena, and Mirna Fernandez.
This wasn't about feeding them the answers to tests. It was about skipping the tests altogether and getting a pass. Investigators say one clerk clocked 295 road tests in a month, which is crazy when considering the average number of tests given by an average examiner is 20 to 25 tests per week. There could be hundreds, maybe thousands of driver licenses that were illegally obtained over the 3-year span that investigators believe this scheme ran. Currently, there is a statewide review underway, and any license linked to these individuals can be revoked and drivers ordered to retest.
The New York Inspector General and District Attorney say DMV road test examiners teamed up with T&E Truck Driving School in Queens. Applicants to this fraudulent truck driving school would pay cash and in return got a fraudulently obtained driver license. Sometimes imposters even took the road and skills test.
The individuals involved in this scheme are Edward Queen, Wenfeng Yang, Wei Shantan, Wei Wen-tan, plus T&E Driving School. A combined total of 14 defendants were indicted in state court. According to investigation, the price this ring charged for each fraudulent license was reported to be between $1,600 and $2,000 per buyer.
Here is how it worked. Cash was paid to examiners, imposters were lined up to take the knowledge and skills test, and voila! Instantly approved licenses. Investigators say the impact could be hundreds of licenses.
Here's what's being done. Indictments have been filed. Over 150 suspect license and permits have been flagged, and the DMV says they're scrubbing records and retesting where needed. Massachusetts had its own mess. The DOJ says former Massachusetts State Police Sergeant Gary Cedarquist ran a scheme for years that gave false passing scores on CDL skills tests, even for people who failed or never took the test. He and others used the code word golden to know who to give a passing grade to.
In the DOJ filing, Massachusetts state troopers Calvin Butner, Perry Mendez, Joel Rogers were also charged along with civilians Scott Camara and Eric Matheson. Some of the perks included cases of various drinks and candy, a $10,000 driveway, and a $2,000 snowblower. Investigators believe more than 40 applicants got fraudulent CDLs. Matheson worked for a water company that employed drivers who needed CDLs to drive their delivery vehicles. Massachusetts State Police Sergeant Gary Cedarquist was in charge of the state CDL driver licensing test center. Cedarquist and his team of other state troopers would give passing scores to multiple applicants from the water company who actually failed the CDL skills test, as well as others who took only a partial test, in exchange for bribes of free inventory from the water company, such as cases of bottled Fiji, Voss, and Essentia water, cases of bottled Arizona iced tea, coffee and tea products, energy drinks, and Twizzlers and Swedish fish candy, all of which Matheson delivered to an office trailer at the CDL test site in Stoughton, Mass.
Cedarquist was the ringleader, and during the investigation it came out that Matheson had received texts from Cedarquist describing one water company applicant as an idiot who had no idea what he's doing and should have failed about 10 times already. Cedarquist then gave this applicant a passing score. On another occasion, Matheson asked Cedarquist, "How's the trailer holding?" To which Cedarquist responded, "In desperate need of restocking," along with a specific request for, among other things, premium bottled water, tea, energy drinks, and a truckload of large water. The state has added body cams on CDL exams and surprise audits to keep testers honest. They are also requiring CDL retesting of the applicants involved.
Washington State found a cash for passing grade setup tied to Skyline CDL school and an independent tester. Gold-colored envelopes were stuffed with cash, and in turn, CDL licenses were handed out, sometimes even without a test being taken. A state investigation has uncovered an alleged bribery scheme that put unqualified truck drivers on Washington roads. The investigation led to the suspension of a Western Washington truck driving school that is no longer operating. The Washington State Department of Licensing said it is more likely than not that Skyline CDL School, which operated locations in Auburn and Vancouver, sent cash through the mail to a third-party examiner to pass its students. Gold envelopes full of cash are central evidence in the alleged scheme, which investigators believe were bribes paid to the third-party tester to ensure students pass their commercial CDL driving exams. Investigators have tracked down 10% of drivers licensed by the examiner during the 18-month timeframe this occurred over. They focused on those suspected of not taking the test or with known infractions. Of the 74 drivers retested, 80% failed. As a result of the investigation and additional retesting, at least 110 drivers had their credentials canceled. 102 of them former Skyline students.
Washington State terminated the tester, shut down Skyline's Washington operation, and Oregon fined Skyline's Hillsborough site for not reporting the mess to them. In a statement, investigators said, "There's still a group of drivers out there that we're not sure were tested, but we're also not sure if they could have passed just fine if they had been tested," Reed said. "We're still tracking all of those people to see if we can connect that to crash data or violation data to see if we can find any pattern that would indicate there are still unsafe drivers in that population, but we haven't seen that yet." Quick story. A while back, I was parked at the TA truck stop in Iowa, eating a sandwich and catching up on some paperwork. Another driver backs into my front driver's side fender. I jump out. He gets real mouthy and uncooperative while I was trying to get his info from him. We must have been getting a little loud, and someone called the cops. The cops showed up and listened to each of us and then ran our license numbers, and I overheard them say the other guy's license came back with a hold on it.
Uh-oh, so what happened?
Yeah, well, the cop wasn't chatty about it, but my gut said this dude was wanted for something. Who knows? Maybe he was one of those that might have gotten his CDL the wrong way. After hearing about all these fraud cases in Louisiana, Florida, New York, Massachusetts, and Washington State, man, it fits.
And that's the main issue, Bernie. Fortunately, what happened to you was a fender bender at a truck stop. What is really scary is the potential number of unqualified drivers behind the wheel of an 80,000-pound missile. I wonder how many folks over the past few years are now injured, maimed, or dead because of these unqualified drivers behind the wheel of big trucks. Are they going to make everyone take a retest? Probably not, at least not in the very near future. For now, these states are targeting drivers that are tied to these fraud rings. They're pulling licenses and then ordering retests. Personally, I think every driver that was issued a license out of the offending DMV over the time period that the fraud took place should be retested as a safety precaution. But hey, that's me.
And FMCSA is tightening things up as well. More electronic knowledge testing, tougher oversight of third-party testers, and federal grants to help states detect fraud.
Bottom line, if you earned your CDL legally, you're fine. If your name's linked to a bad examiner or school, expect a letter.
If you've seen or heard about an incident involving an illegally licensed truck driver, leave us a comment and tell us about it.
We are trying to grow this channel to help truck drivers along with educating the general public. You can help us out by smashing that like button and the notification bell. Remember to subscribe and share this with another driver. Protect your load, protect your rig, and protect yourself.
Leave us a comment below with your thoughts and ideas. If it's a good idea, we will share it with everyone. Subscribe for more trucking truth, and together we'll keep hammering this issue till somebody listens. Well, my friends, stay safe and stay loaded out there. Catch you on the rebound. Remember to keep that left door closed and your hands on the wheel.